Now time for the bonus film. Well, technically not. What do I mean by that? Well, I always tried to do something a little different on the second to last day. Today's recommendation is a cartoon. If you like Singing in the Rain, then you'll probably like Popeye meets Sinbad the Sailor from 1936. Yeah, the title kind of sums up the plot, but I'll go ahead anyways. Popeye sails by Sinbad's island, which is full of creatures that he's fought and put into submission. Sinbad, played by Bluto, notices Olive Oil and wants her for himself. So he kidnaps her, and now Popeye is on a mission to get her back. I think this is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. I was actually a pretty big fan of Popeye growing up. However, I will admit, I was a bigger fan of Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes back then, and even today, mostly because they had superior writing and gags. But I still like Popeye and all the other Fleischer Brothers cartoons on a technical level. In fact, I think Fleischer Brother cartoons are the most technically innovative cartoons of the period. You can tell that they were trying to push boundaries of what was possible with animation at the time. This allowed for some of the most visually interesting cartoons ever created, and to me, this was the peak of their studio. It was the first full-color Popeye cartoon, and it looks gorgeous. Yes, the colors are amazing, but there are so many other reasons why this is an incredibly gorgeous cartoon. One is the design of the creatures. They're a menagerie of real and mythical beasts that we're all familiar with. When I hear stories of dragons and cyclops, this is the interpretation I usually think of. The more 30s approach makes them feel like they've leapt from the pages of an old book onto the screen. But of course, the best part is the 3D backgrounds. This was a staple of Fleischer animation, and I think most people are familiar with the ballroom scene in Betty Boop Poor Cinderella. The Fleischer brothers would commission miniatures to be built and placed on a turntable. Then the camera would be placed sideways and the cells would be put in front of the background. This would then give the illusion that the 2D characters were walking in a 3D space. I love staring at these miniatures. My favorite is the cave. It's full of wonderful details, colors, and there's so many layers to it that makes me wonder how they were able to pull off this walking shot so seamlessly. They don't use the 3D backgrounds in every shot. They only utilize it whenever someone is walking. It wouldn't make as much sense to have a 3D background in every shot because it would probably be distracting if they were littered throughout the whole story. But even some of the 2D backgrounds are incredibly detailed. Like, it wasn't until my most recent rewatch that I noticed the tree in the background of this scene. It just makes rewatching this a pleasure every time. I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Fleischer Short's songs. I think they're incredibly forced and not memorable. But there's something about these songs that I can never get out of my head. I think it's one of those things that you're either gonna love or hate. I'm ashamed to admit that I think I'm a little more on the love side. I honestly can't imagine this short without them. Yes, I know these songs are more comedic, so they aren't supposed to be technically good, but come on, if you're gonna make a silly song, at least make it catchy. This short has my favorite Popeye Bluto fight in the whole series. These were often playful yet invigorating to watch, and I think this one was the best they ever did. You can tell a lot of effort went into making this the best short it could be, and it's enjoyable to see these ideas leap off the screen. That's primarily why it made me think of Singing in the Rain. They're both wonderfully made pieces of art that have lots of colors, songs, and never get old the more you watch them. The whole short is actually available on YouTube, so if you're curious, you can check it out real quick. If you don't know too much about Fleischer Brothers cartoons, I think this is a great one to start out with. It's perfect for any animation lover or movie fan.